I'm Kurt Moffitt, and welcome to the Nicholas School for the Environment and the rededication ceremony of Granger Hall. I am a 1973 graduate of Trinity College and always glad to be back trying to do something good for Duke. I have the honor of chairing the Nicholas School Board of Visitors, and I am personally delighted to be here and honored to be the board's chair. This is a big day, and we have a few people who want to weigh in on the significance of the event. So I'll just share a few words to kick things off. On behalf of my fellow volunteers and those that preceded us on the Board of Visitors, as well as the many other donors and friends of the Nicholas School, I want to express our excitement for the entire Nicholas School community and how this is such a great moment for our students, our faculty, our alumni, and our staff. Some of us have been involved with the school for a long time, and we recognize the significance of this wonderful gift from the Granger Family Descendants Fund and its lasting impact on the school. This achievement is remarkable, and the generosity and vision shown by our benefactor is even more remarkable. Stunning might be a more accurate word, particularly in these times of our political environment in which we're trying to work to protect the environment. This is my first year as chair of the Board of Visitors. I am humbled to begin my time as chair of the board with such a great announcement. I'm even more inspired to see what we can do next together. At a time when we can't help but listen to all the things we must do to preserve and protect our environment and our planet, I can't think of a better place to help define what those next steps will look like and how we'll train the next generations of environmental champions and scientists who will lead and develop these solutions. It is inspiring to think that we are all part of this great effort, and the gift that we celebrate today is just another big step forward that will help us with this mission and secure for a very long time our home. Speaking of inspiring, it is now my pleasure to introduce the new stand-back Dean of the Nicholas School, Toddy Steelman.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Welcome, everybody, to the rededication of Granger Hall. We are so excited to have you here today. It's a very, very exciting day for the Nicholas community, and we are thrilled that you would take the time to be with us today. So on behalf of the Nicholas School of the Environment, on behalf of our entire community, I would like to welcome Duke University President Vincent Price, Duke University Provost Sally Kornbluth. I would like to welcome and thank Kurt Moffitt, our current president, chair of our Board of Visitors. I would like to thank Nick DeLuzio, who is our current vice president and incoming president of our Alumni Council. And I would like to welcome and thank J.K. Nicholas for being here on behalf of the Nicholas family. So thank you all for taking the time to celebrate with us today. It's a big day for us. I also wish to thank Tim Bresnahan. Tim, where are you? Hold up your hand. Oh, you're right there. Sorry. From the Chicago Community Trust. Tim has come all the way from Chicago to be with us today, representing our generous yet anonymous benefactor from the Granger Family Foundation. So we're really honored that you would take the time to be with us for this special event. I also want to thank the rest of our Board of Visitors who are here, and our Alumni Council who are here that came in a bit early to join us for this momentous day. As one colleague told me recently, you're going to have a lot of challenges in this job, so you better make sure you celebrate the good days. And this is a very good day for us. So the gift that we recognize today from the Granger Family Descendants Fund literally touches every corner of what we do in this school, our purpose and our mission. It is truly a transformational gift for us. It's one of these big ones that make a difference in terms of everything that we do. It will enable us to launch new financial aid packages for our students, new academic and research programs for our faculty and students, as well as improve facilities for us, not only in Beaufort, but also here in Durham. So it's quite wide-ranging. I continue to be indebted to my predecessor in this job, Jeff Vincent, who created this wonderful welcome present for me. He and Kevin had been working to think about what to get a new dean, and I got an email from Jeff in the spring that basically said, I wasn't entirely sure what to get you as a new dean, but maybe $20 million would work. And I would say, yes, that works just fine, Jeff. Thank you very, very much. You were right on the mark. So thank you, Jeff, for your vision and for inspiring our benefactor for that big vision that you also had. And you know, this gift, it's about a building, but it's about a lot more than a building as well. It's about the vision and purpose exemplified by the people that inhabit the building, not only in terms of the faculty, but the staff and the students. And a big part of what we do is invest in the next generation in terms of teaching and purpose. And with that, I would really like to honor Norm Christensen, who's back there. You know, Norm is the founding dean of the school, and the story that I am told by our very generous benefactor was that she was a student in one of Norm's classes a few years back. Well, maybe more than a few years back. but she was inspired by his teaching. And the seed that was planted those many, many years ago has grown up to be the gift that we celebrate today. And so I think it's very inspiring to know that we as faculty and plant these seeds in different ways and never quite know how they are going to come back in very different ways. So Norm, thank you for everything that you've done in the past, in the present, and into the future, and how you have served this community. So thank you very much. In many ways, we have already started to put these resources to work. We have hired a new executive in residence, Joe Bachman. Joe, wave your hand back there. Joe is going to lead and is leading our new Natural Resource Finance Initiative, which is part of what this gift will go to. And down at the Marine Lab, we have a new Ocean Engineering Lab that's going to be put into place. And here, right on the roof of this building, is going to be a new outdoor classroom that we are going to put up on the roof so our students can work in the outside. And perhaps most importantly of all, the new gift will mostly go to creating new financial opportunities for our students to make affordable a Nicholas School education for more students. And I think that that's the thing that I and most of us are most proud about this particular gift. And we don't know much about our benefactor. She has elected to remain anonymous, but we know a few things about her, and one of those things is that she is inspired by art, and she's encouraged by the different ways that art can be used to communicate, whether it's photography, whether it's other kinds of visual art, or whether it's poetry. And so in honoring that, at least that piece that we know about her, we have invited Nicholas scholar Alex O'Neill, who is one of our current Masters of Environmental Management and Masters of Forestry students, to recite a poem that he wrote earlier this year in commemoration of some of the things that our benefactor likes. So Alex was selected as one of our Nicholas Scholars. Our Nicholas Scholars are the absolute best and brightest of our students. And that was due to his prior academic performance and professional experience. So that's what got him into that elite group. So after graduating from Georgetown University, Alex spent the subsequent 2 years working for non-governmental organizations in the Himalayas, specifically in Nepal. So he began as a David L. Boren Scholar in Nepal in 2014. He transitioned to become a Fulbright Scholar in 2015, remaining in Nepal. And the following year, he joined the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, which then led to an internship over the summer of 2017 with the Department of Agriculture. So he's had, already in his young career, he has quite a prestigious number of experiences behind him. So Alex, I'd like you to come up here and recite your poem for us, if you don't mind.
Good afternoon. And thank you, Dean Steelman, for the warm introduction. It's my true privilege to be here today to share a poem that I wrote entitled The Merchant's Mill Pond, which is on the back of your pamphlet. For some background, a few years ago, I was introduced to a rather extraordinary document by author Robert McFarlane. It was about yay big, tiny, and it was entitled Some Lewis Moreland Terms, a Peat Glossary. This absolutely charming little book presented Gaelic words and phrases for bogs that streak the United Kingdom toward Shetland and Faroe Islands. And it was absolute gold for me as a wetland enthusiast and an O'Neill and the owner of a Shetland sheepdog named Granger. So I dove headfirst into its pages and was really absorbed by its elegance and its specificity. There was a word for literally every kind of wetland you could imagine, and I'm going to, I guess, go through a few. One of them was a tome, which is a raised, generally rounded area of bog that is stone-free, often with a mound of moss at its top. Or a kaken, which is a slender moor stream obscured by vegetation such that it's virtually hidden from sight. And one more is a fight, which is a fine, vein-like water course that runs through peat that is often dry in the summertime. So I was reading through the glossary, and I thought to myself, what evocative language. The definitions themselves were poetry, and they described aspects of landscape that many people have either lost touch with or are changing in response to climate. Now, I've always been fascinated with the relationship between language and landscape by the power of medium and words to really shape our sense of place. It's even become a bit of a habit for me to jot down nature words while in class or traveling, terms for soil, color, texture, light, life, that really resonate with people. Because I believe, in the end, it's the stories that we tell ourselves about the world that shape the world that we inhabit. And the language that we choose to tell these stories is key. It can either breed apathy or bring our community into a greater, or toward a greater earth ethic. And it's the task of graduate students from the Nicholas School to serve as translators here, to really communicate science, acknowledge history, and cultivate diversity in all of its forms, including our choice of words. So when I ventured out to Gates County, North Carolina, with my friend Gordon Lee, who took the photo, and later with my partner Zach Angel, I gave myself a writing exercise. How can I use words as art to communicate a landscape to my readers, to preserve a landscape in time? And how can I conserve a natural vocabulary in a medium that both depicts their definition and really do justice to an ecosystem? In the end, the mill pond was my Lewis Moreland. It is a 200-year-old, 700-acre reservoir that once powered a massive granary turbine. Today, the area has been reclaimed or perhaps repurposed by nature as a bald cypress swamp, a swamp that is home to the northernmost population of American alligators, a swamp where cool air pools into mist as you paddle through needling curtains of bald cypress and water gum. Black gum's definitely not a bog species. So I hope you enjoy my poem, and I hope that you look into the words that shape it. And of course, feel free to snap along if you vibe with what I say. All right. We drifted to that blackwater pavement with speckled copper hues. For some, the avenue a dismal maze. For us, a spot of muse. A silent stop on fluted shags. We rest on scaly knees. The glaying mill pond signature was a pulse sensed on the trees. Needles, plates around us moved. Pea plumes strike our nose. Those bearded strangers looking at us on duckweed paths we froze. Were we lost, or had we found a secret in the swamp? Something sacred in the land, a place we shouldn't tromp. That heavy air was charged with life, though time there did stand still. Friction felt beneath our boat, the current brought a chill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. We appreciate that. And I would like to now introduce President Vincent Price.
Well, good afternoon. I am delighted to join Toddy for this wonderful celebration of an important moment in the history of the Nicholas School and of Duke University. I also want to acknowledge members of the Nicholas School Board of Visitors who are with us here today. Thank you so very much for your service. Now at Duke, I think we are particularly attuned to the importance of philanthropy in higher education. After all, it was a major gift from James B. Duke that allowed Trinity College to grow into this university nearly 100 years ago. The Nicholas School has its roots in those early days of Duke. The School of Forestry was founded in 1938 alongside our Marine Lab, and thanks in large part to the generosity of alumni and friends of this university, we have been at the forefront of environmental research and education ever since. The Granger Family Descendants Fund and the benefactor that we are celebrating today have been absolutely vital to that tradition of excellence. Through the years, they've been among our most generous supporters, helping us to recruit and support Nicholas's exceptional faculty and extraordinary students. It is fitting then that this building, which represents our continued commitment to excellence in environmental education, should bear the family's name. And I should note, as Toddy mentioned, that the impact of this gift will be far, far wider than Granger Hall. The majority of the funds will go toward financial aid, helping Duke to attract and to train the next generation of environmental scientists and policymakers. With the enormous environmental challenges that we face around the globe, I cannot imagine a more important priority. So let me say thank you to our benefactor and to the entire Granger family for this most generous gift. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce Tim Bresnahan, Senior Director of Gift Planning for the Chicago Community Trust, who is here today representing the Granger Family Descendants Fund. At the Trust, Tim is responsible for a broad range of matters, including charitable contributions, donor-advised funds, supporting organizations, and agency endowments. Tim is a member of the Partnership for Philanthropic Planning, the Chicago Council on Planned Giving, and the president of the Board of Directors for the Rivendell Theater Ensemble. He, like Alex, earned a bachelor's degree, his in foreign service from the Georgetown University, and he holds a JD from the Chicago-Kent College of Law. Please join me in welcoming Tim Bresnahan to Duke.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity today to be here on behalf of the donor that I work with, the family of donors that I work with. First and foremost, thank you to Duke and to the Nicholas School for sort of welcoming me so warmly, especially Kevin McCarthy and his team. Lola, thank you for all of the logistical support and letting me know where I need to be. I really appreciate that. You know, this is a donor, a family, but particularly a donor who is very private and very modest. And so you may be wondering, who is Tim? Why is he here? This is strange. Well, just so you know, I don't often fly across the country to represent donors. This is a very unusual thing, but the scope of what this particular donor does and has done with her philanthropy, especially in the last 16 months, I think deserves to be celebrated. So thank you for inviting me in. Just for some background, the Chicago Community Trust is the community foundation for Chicago. So we, in our DNA, we're a place-based grant maker. That's sort of what our heritage is and our lineage is. We're 103 years old. We're one of the largest in the country now. We've got about $3 billion in assets. In the last fiscal year, we made about $340 million in grants. 40 of that total came from our discretionary dollars, the dollars that we have discretion over our endowment for Chicago. So you do some math. That means a little more than $300 million came from another source. And that source was from donor-advised funds and supporting orgs. So living donors with whom we have the pleasure to partner with to help facilitate and manage their philanthropy. And the Granger Family Descendants Fund is one of those donor-advised funds, albeit larger and more active than perhaps your average donor-advised fund, but it still falls within that realm. And so I have the pleasure as a relationship manager and philanthropic advisor to some of our donors to help them manage the process for making grants out of their funds. And so that's why I'm here today. And hopefully in my comments, I'll keep them short, I promise. I want to give you a little sense as to some of the themes or trends that I see in this particular donor's giving. She is an advisor to the fund, which means she has the ability to recommend grants out. We, as the legal owner of the assets, give the final approval, but we are, of course, approving the types of grants that she is asking us to make. She is passionate about the environment and about conservation and about giving access and opportunity for individuals to research, understand, protect, and sustain the environment. I learned about her early coursework with Norm Christensen, the founding dean of the school. Also, she had a chance to roll up her sleeves and spend some time over one of her summers working at the Marine Lab. So certainly a donor who is deeply connected to and understands the work of the Nicholas School. But she makes grants to other environmental organizations all across the country. Large aquariums on the West Coast that I'm sure you've heard of to help them do their conservation work. The Nature Conservancy to help fight invasive species in the Great Lakes. She's passionate about the rights of animals and protecting animals, providing veterinary services to marine life and other animals, other land-based animals. But she also is passionate about access for people, an opportunity for people. We see that in the tremendous amount of financial aid that this gift is providing to students who may be the first in their family to go on to get a graduate degree in environmental studies, who may not have been able to afford to access this degree without this support. So it's tremendously meaningful to see this theme of access and opportunity. I'll give you one anecdote as I wrap up. So she made a very large grant from the Granger Family Descendants Fund to an organization that provides services to homeless women in Chicago, women experiencing chronic homelessness. Some of the most vulnerable population that you can think of, women who have been victims of emotional, physical, sexual abuse, drug addiction, mental health issues, of course, are part of it. She provided a grant to build more housing for homeless women. And part of that comes with better access and better opportunity to connect to wraparound services. The beauty of the grant is that it generated in Illinois a tax credit. So what was originally a certain size grant became, through this program, an almost $21 million grant. It allowed for this organization to build homes for housing for literally hundreds of women who pass through their doors who have not had access to a sense of dignity or a sense of justice. And it was really powerful. And you see this theme of opportunity, justice, and access that is woven through this donor's philanthropy with both the environment and conservation, but also for people. And so I'm really proud and thrilled and honored to be invited today to celebrate this donor. I think a gift of this size and this commitment deserves to be celebrated. I imagine this will be an ongoing relationship between the fund and the school. I know she has plans in the future, so worry not. This is not the last you'll see of the Granger Family Descendants Fund. But I'm just so honored, and I cannot wait to bring back this energy, this recognition, the connectivity to the school back to her, so she has a full appreciation for all of the people who are applauding her in her efforts today. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak, and thank you to Duke, and congratulations for everything that you're accomplishing.
Thank you, Tim, for the kind words, and we are deeply indebted to the Granger Family Descendants Fund. Thank you again for being with us today and marking this occasion with the Duke University and Nicholas School community. I'm also delighted to present to you the official resolution of the Board of Trustees naming the Granger Hall in name of the Granger family. So we hope you can take this back and forward it on to the benefactor. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'd like to say once again, thank you to everyone who has made this possible over the years with your vision, your dedication, and your support at Duke University.